welcome once again. Welcome, dear students. So, in last video, we were discussing about the fight which we are fighting with nature, right? And we are also fighting with each other. Countries they are fighting with each other, right? People they are fighting with each other. So they need to stop fighting with each other, right? In the moment of silence, they will get the realization that if we want to get the solution, so fighting is not the solution of any problem. We need to talk about it, then we will get the solution. Further, he says that what is the meaning of that victory when there will be no survivor, right? Is there any meaning of that victory if no one is there? Obviously not. Further, he says would put on clean clothes and walk about with their brothers in the street doing nothing. They need to start talking first. Put on clean clothes means they need to just clean their thoughts, right? They need to think positively instead of negatively. Think positively. Put on clean clothes means think positively and walk about with their brothers. Now, brothers means first, when you start fighting with each other, you think that you are enemies, right? But when you think positively, when you put clean clothes man means when you think positively about it, at that time your enemy will become your brother, right? And if they will become your brother, there will be no war, right? You will be walking together, right? Sharing the ideas, the thoughts together, opinions together. So there will be no war then, right? Next, what I want should not be confused with total inactivity. Very important, right? Here the poet says that although he's telling us that he will count up to 12, we will count up to 12, then after all of us will keep quiet. Any kind of movement will not take place. But do not confuse it with total inactiveness. If you are totally inactive, so that means mentally as well as physically you are inactive. You are dead then. But he's not telling us that we are totally inactive. Although physically we are not doing anything, but mentally we are so active, right? So we are not dead. Do not confuse it with total inactiveness. Life is what it is about. So it is the meaning of life to move on, right? And if you are moving on, so that means you are alive, right? If you are breathing, you are alive. If you are thinking about your life, you are alive. If you are thinking about your action, you are alive. I want no truck with death. So do not associate this inactiveness with death. If we were not so single-minded about keeping our lives moving and for once could do nothing, perhaps a huge silence might interrupt this sadness of never understanding ourselves and of threatening ourselves with death. We are so single-minded. We are just so selfish. We just think about ourselves. We never think about others. We never think about society, right? Perhaps in the moment of silence, we will get the realization what we are doing. We need to think about others as well, which we are not doing, right? Perhaps in the moment of silence, we get the realization too. We always threaten ourselves, right? Why we are so selfish? Because we always threaten ourselves that we have a limited period of time. So during that period, we have to accomplish all the things we have thought to achieve in our life. So that's why now we have become so selfish. But perhaps in the moment of silence, we can also clear that mindset and change the perspective of life as well. Next, perhaps the earth can teach us as when everything seems dead and later prove to be alive. Here, the poet gives us the example of nature, the earth, through which we can learn the lesson. Particularly during the winter season, when everything seems dead, the trees they seems dead, the grass seem dead as well, right? And when the season changes, so then everything comes to life again. So similarly, right, if you are doing introspection, thinking about our action, whether they were correct or not, and getting the realization, trying to not repeat them again, so it will be a new rebirth for us, right? It will be a new birth for us. So that's why he has given the example of nature here, earth here, right? During the winter season everything seems dead, but later when the season changes everything comes to life again. So similarly, if we are changing our mindset, thinking about action in the moment of silence, doing introspection, perhaps it can bring a new changes in our life and it will be a new birth for us, right? And at last the poet says, now I will count up to 12 and you will keep quiet and I will